Hey everybody, this is my 125 gallon native tank, and a few days ago I added a fish to this tank that I caught down at the stream. I wasn't sure what it was. I thought it was a creek chub, but I wasn't 100% certain because it didn't look entirely like the creek chubs I have in here. And a couple of my viewers suggested it might have been this kind of minnow or it might have been that kind of minnow. And now we will never know because it's no longer in the tank. When I put it in the tank, my chief concern was the temperature shift. I had planned on putting it in my waterfall tank, which is about 70 degrees. And I wound up deciding at the last minute to put it in this tank, which is about 80 degrees. So the temperature shift from what it was in to 70 degrees was going to be pretty extreme. To go up to 80 degrees was a little more extreme than I was even expecting it to. Now, for cold water fish, that's not that big of a deal for them to be able to shift their water temperature fairly rapidly. I've done it before, never quite to that extreme, so admittedly, I was doing it as kind of an experiment, and you can, debate whether or not that's ethical to do that kind of stuff or not, but whatever, I did it, and I wanted to see what was going to happen. And the fish itself recovered well enough. I saw it swimming around the tank within 15 or 20 minutes of shooting the video. And when I came back later in the evening to check on it, it was nowhere to be seen. And it has not been seen since. I've not been able to identify it or spot it anywhere in the tank. I've not found its body. I've not found pieces of its fins, no scales floating around the water. It's just gone. So I suspect that that creek chub right there probably had himself a fish dinner the very same day I put that minnow in the tank. I'd never really considered it as being as small as it was until I released it in the tank. And when I did so, immediately we saw the creek chubs going after it, nipping at it and taking shots at it. And I wasn't sure if that was sort of like a feeding aggression or if that was a territorial aggression. I assumed it was a feeding aggression because these chubs are pretty crazy when it comes to feeding. They think they're going to get fed now. A lot of times when I open the top, when I stick anything in the top, they'll bite at it, including pH meters, my fingers, anything. So let's see if I can get them to bite my fingers. Oh, yeah, look at them go. So once they get a couple of bites on my finger, they realize it's not food and they all run back over there. But I do have some freeze-dried krill right here. Let me open this up. Throw a handful of these in here and watch what happens. Now that they've got my false alarm with my finger, it might take them a moment to get over here. Once they get going, they go crazy for the food. So you can see they're pretty aggressive feeders. Oh, splashed me right in the face. Alright, hang on, let me try to throw another couple in at a time like that, one at a time. And it's just freeze-dried krill. I don't know how well that's coming out. There you go. Freeze-dried krill I'm throwing in there. So that gives you a pretty good look at how aggressively they feed. And I suspect that that's what happened to that minnow that we put in there. So from here on out, I'm going to try to be a little more self-controlled when I do catch more fish down the stream. I do specifically want certain fish, but not for this tank. This tank is already overstocked. I really need to be thinning this crowd out a little bit here, but I'm just reluctant to do it, especially this time of year, because I don't want to do them the other direction. I don't want to put them from 80 degrees down into, 50 degree water when there's going to be a lot less feeding. To go from being a very high metabolism, high energy, they're nice and warm, and then to put them in that really cold water to slow their metabolism down that quickly and put them in a situation where there's not a lot of food available to them. You know, I don't necessarily know if I'd want to do that, but to warm them up and get them into a situation where there's plenty of food and plenty of oxygen, plenty of activity, again, wasn't too worried about that. But I never really considered the fact that the chubs were going to eat it. So there you go. Again, I'll have to be a little more self-controlled, not bring any more fish home for this tank, but keep my eyes open for anything we're looking for to go into my little 40-gallon waterfall tank. So make sure you're subscribed. I will be doing an update on my waterfall tank. The plants are growing in really nicely. I've changed the lighting around a little bit. I did shoot a video about the lighting last night and gave a little quick introduction to the way I've got it. No big deal. I just put some internal lighting in the tank, so if I turn off the big bright LED, you can sort of see the tank sort of glowing from within. It's kind of cool looking, but it serves as more of sort of a night light than anything, so I kind of get to enjoy it for a minute or two as I'm turning the lights out. And then I turn the lights out and go to bed. So, you know, a lot of fuss, but it just sort of serves the purpose of looking cool when I want it to. Anyway, as I said, make sure you're subscribed. We'll get a big update on that tank coming up here in the very near future, and that'll be probably a fairly lengthy video because I got a lot to talk about with that tank. So make sure you're subscribed, and you won't miss any of that. And then don't forget, of course, this one is my 125-gallon native tank. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you real soon in the next one.